Hello, today we're going to be having a look at the new update for the Maker Pen, which adds a bunch of new, well not really new, but more easier to use features that allow you to align stuff a lot easier and just make things easier. Now I've not seen another update video on the Maker Pen for maybe like a year or something on YouTube. So I thought that I would make one and update people on what everything does and what your possibilities are by using this. So first of all, we are in the entrance to my workshop map, which is through that door there. You can find this room if you feel like it. There you go. Just search that in the rooms. So we're gonna go through this door. Here we are. Let me just fix something real quick. There we go. Okay, so this is my workshop room. Not this specific area, this is like the entrance area of it. That's the door we just came through, the magical door. That's the same sign that's out front. So basically, we're gonna walk over here, jump off. There we go. Now we're in the right area. So over here, miles away from everything, this is where we're going to do all of our creations, inventions, and everything to do with the Maker Pen. So, let's get started. So you've got edit. Edit is really only there if you've already got a shape. So if I just press done editing. Now, normally without the edit tool, you can only do so much things with this, but say for example, you wanted to move this piece and attach it to this piece, you choose edit. It doesn't matter which one you choose because these are both the same piece. And then I can choose the move tool and just attach it like so. I can move this one like that, move this one down here like that, across here like that. You understand that. Now the create tool is pretty much used for everything. If you want to create something from all these tubes like that, ribbons like so, cubes, spheres, cylinders, wedges, pyramids. These are all the basic shapes that are in the game as of now. I'm not sure if they're adding any more. So, it's not letting me remove that. Let me just do this. Okay, so now we've done edit and create. They're pretty much still the exact same as they've always been since the Maker Pen was added. But now select has also got a little bit of an update. So, let me just make a couple of these. Now, normally, when you were selecting things, you would have to select them one by one. And then you can merge them into shapes if you feel like it. But now, if you hold down the trigger, you've got this little sphere that allows you to do a bigger radius of selecting things. See? And you can actually change the radius of this by going into your settings, pressing this button here, and then this one. So currently I have it on medium, but you can choose precise, and it'll be this tiny little dot. You can choose large, and it'll be this big one. Analog just allows you to enlarge it the farther where you go, and the closer you go, the smaller it gets. You understand. So, let's move on to the move tool. So move has also got a little bit of an update. Move now allows you, so normally you would just hold it and you would, you know, just normal. But now if you actually press the trigger on it, you've got this little axis tool. This allows you to move it across these little grid lines that it gives you to precise points. You can move up and down, left and right, and forward and back. But you've got these little cubes. These then give you a big grid wall that you can move it anywhere to do on that grid wall. So if I move over this side, it gives me a red one for this area. And if I was to come up top, it gives me a green one for moving it across the ground area. And this will go as far as you can possibly get it. Like so. Now, rotate has also got a little bit of a thing. Also, I should probably run over this. These little ones up top. This one here, if you hover over it, align objects to other objects while moving them. This one here, snap objects to a grid while rotating, while moving or rotating. And this one here, modify an object in a world space. So I normally have these two on because this allows me to, for example, if you watch very carefully, it snaps ever so slightly. It's not really smooth like that. You can see that it is small kind of snaps because I have my rotation and position snaps at the lowest it's possible to go, meaning I can make really small movements. So if we're going to rotate, again, normally it would be doing it like this. This is also new. This is a bit of a, yeah, rotate up, down, left, right, all that kind of stuff. But this time if I press it, it gives me this. And this right here allows me to rotate this through all these different sphere outlines here you can see. So the white one allows me to kind of rotate it on its edge. The blue allows me to rotate it from side to side like so. This red one allows me to move it forward and back. And this green one allows me to rotate it left and right. Now I'm pretty sure this will change depending the... oh no, it's not actually. Okay, I thought this might have changed when you changed the position of it, so the red would end up replacing the blue, etc. But it appears not. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the scale tool. Scale is, you know, it's the same as it's always been. Allows you to enlarge or decrease the size of objects. So if I go into scale and then press this, this allows me to expand the size of objects. This is a little bit mixed in with the manipulate tool a tiny bit. But if I want to enlarge the full thing, I hold this little white cube in the center point here, as you can see, the center. And it allows me to enlarge all of it, as you can see. I can enlarge specific points of it, like I would with manipulate. Like so. Now we're moving on to wire. Wire is only used for the gadgets tab. So for example, a really simple one, if you get a variable chip and then you go into other gadgets, no sorry, gizmos, here clamps are normally used to lock things together. For example, making weapons. If I had a prop of a sword that I have, give me 1 second. If I find my sword, there it is. So if I take my sword and just rotate this so it's as flat as I can get it, and get a prop of an actual in-game sword, like so. Say I wanted to, because at the moment, if I swing this around, this doesn't actually do anything. This is just a prop. This isn't going to do damage to anything. It's there for looks. But this, on the other hand, is an actual weapon. If you've got a health system in your game, this is going to deal damage to someone. As you can see. So, I'm just gonna, or not, because that's decorational. I'm just going to select this because that makes it easier to work with, because by selecting it, it allows me to move it like a normal prop instead of something with physics. So I'm going to try and just align this as best I can to the actual weapon itself. Now, you'll notice that it is slightly off. That's because the sword itself hasn't been made perfectly straight. This, on the other hand, is perfectly straight. So you're just going to have to bear with that OCD nightmare. Now you don't have to do it the same way I'm doing it, I'm just doing it this way. Now if we freeze this sword, and you don't really need a variable chip for this. A variable chip is more for activating things. But if I get a clamp, I'm also going to get a piston and a rotator for that afterwards. So now, I always get confused here. I'm pretty sure this little gold piece on top, because these are two separate pieces. This normally, I'll use these as an example. With a rotator, whatever is attached to this point, that's the only thing that will actually rotate. The body itself, if there's anything attached to this, won't rotate. So now I'm going to attach this little golden piece here to my prop, and the body itself to the weapon. No, I believe I've done that wrong. You can see what I mean by I get confused. Come on. Unselect yourself, demon. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. So last time I attached the gold piece to my prop sword and the body to the actual sword. This time, attach the gold piece to the actual weapon and attach the body to mine. Oh no, so I did have it right the first time. Okay. So, let's try that again for the third time in a row. Again, the game's being constantly updated. It's a learning experience for everyone. So please do not hate me for getting confused with these things. So, the golden piece attached to prop. No, that's not the right piece. Stop it. There we go. That piece attached to that. That piece attached to that. There we go. Now, my prop is an actual weapon. I could use this to actually deal damage to someone in a PvP game mode, or deal damage to enemy mob, a goblin, one of the little flying goblins, etc. in one of the game modes such as Golden Trophy. That you can just shrink down. The sword itself you could shrink down, but that will minimize the hitbox. And yeah, it's just like a normal weapon. Now, let's move on to pistons and rotors. Now, for each of these you will need a variable chip. A variable chip is this one with the X on it. And they only have red, green and blue outputs. Such as these only have red and green. Oh, hello. Now, I'm just going to clone these. Now, this wire one kind of mixes in with the configure one, because in order to turn these on, you need to use the configure tool, but we'll get to that in a second. So, now, if we have a look at the rotator, this red one means on and off, this green one means the speed, or rotations per minute. And then red, green, blue. This one just means, for example, if I hook the on and off up to red, and if I hook the rotation speed to green, and I press configure, and I configure this chip here, this little menu will pop up. When this menu pops up, you can see R signal, G signal, and B signal. That means red signal, green signal, and blue signal. So, as we know, the on and off is attached to red, and the speed is attached to green. So we don't need to worry about blue, only the red and green. So now, since red is attached to the on and off, 0 means off, 1 means on. But nothing is going to happen until we turn on the speed for it. Now if we watch this while I turn on speed, you can see it's spinning. Now you can keep going up in your speed, and it'll just keep going and going and going until eventually you break your game because this is going that fast. So now, if we just turn this off, as you can see, it's off, on, off, you get it. Now these other things in the menu is grabbable, means if I don't have my pen out, I cannot grab this anymore. But if I do have my maker pen out, I can still move this like normal. This is to stop people without permissions of MakerPen to grab things and move them around and get them lost. Or for trolls to purposely try and sabotage your room. Now, if we go over here, hide during games means if I go into my watch, if I go into game options, I could start a game at the minute. If I have hide when game starts enabled, if I start this game, this will disappear. That's all it means. Now, let me actually show you something rotating on top of this. I'll just get the big red block and then just position this. Now, something I normally do is I try and center these as good as I can, because, for example, if I had this attached like this, instead of going just in a normal circle, this would go all the way around in a big circle. But if I wanted something like a little helicopter effect, I would try and roughly get it to the center, and then it would spin like that. So I can show you two examples here, just in case people are a bit confused. If I select all these and duplicate, yeah, maneuver this one like so. Just gonna move that out of the way for now. Okay, so now, just like we did with the sword, we attached that little gold piece to the sword. We are going to attach this little gold piece to the prop itself. And now, if I turn this on, this spins. Now, the rotator itself is slightly tilted to the left, that's why it's got this weird tilt to it. But again, if you just fix that by rotating this and actually aligned it properly, you wouldn't have that problem. Now, like I was saying with this one, if I get that, attach it to that, and turn this on, as you can see, by aligning it roughly to the center, you've got something that kind of looks like a helicopter blade, where it spins on a single axis and spins, compared to this one, which spins more like that, and it comes round. Now, for a piston, I don't really use pistons that much because I tend to just stay away from them because I fully do not understand them. But what I do know is if you want something to raise out the ground, then again you attach red to red, green to green. Honestly, the colors do not matter. You could attach blue to red and blue to green, whatever. As long as one of them is attached to on and one of them attached to speed. This one is speed in its centimeters. This means like going up and down, etc. And the specific heights it's going to. This big green beam is how far it will raise it. So it will go up to this height here. Possibly larger depending how large it is of the prop you're trying to push. So if we go back down and we attach this to our prop. Now, if we go into configure, we want to put this up. Now you can see it is slowly starting to rise. But if we just up the speed, you can see it's going up and up and up. Now at the minute, I do not fully understand how to get this back down from up there, so I will get back to you on that one. Okay, now moving on to the clone tool. Now clone, if you know what the word actually means, it basically means to duplicate an object. So for example, I've got two identical objects here, but just to make sure that I'm actually duplicating them, I'm going to make this one yellow. So, if I want to duplicate the red one because I need this exact shape for something, I just duplicate it, and there you go. I have another exact shape with the same dimensions, the same height, the same width, everything. Again with the yellow, same width, thickness, height, everything. And if I wanted to duplicate all of these, because maybe I need them for a project or something like that, I highlight them all using the select tool, and then I can clone them all at once. This comes in quite useful if you've made a shape which is hard to get again. For example, if you made a perfect pyramid, it's hard to get that perfect pyramid again. So if I made this, say that's a perfect one, and then I struggle to make that shape again, it is possible, I'm not doubting that at all. But if I wanted to get another perfect one of these, I can duplicate it and it's the exact same as that one. Just like this one, they're identical. Okay, moving on. The recolor tool. Again, very self-explanatory. It just recolors whatever shape that you want. So I want to keep this one red, but oh no, I've made a mistake. This one needs to be blue. This one needs to be green. So if I want to, I can select the recolor. It gives me this nice little laser icon so I know where I'm facing. And then I just recolor the object that I want. Now, in the recent update, they have added neon colors. Neon just means it's going to glow. Bright red, a nice blue, or bright green. This works with every color you see in here, except from the dark colors, such as black. Black makes this little purple. Because of the way that black is technically a shade, not a color, so yeah, you understand. My favorite kind of neon colors is this dark blue here, because it adds this really nice neon blue. And for green, I honestly don't like green as a color, it's just not something I like. But yeah, that's a recolor tool. Now, the freeze tool. This comes in quite important because I use this constantly for everything I do. So, let me just select this and take us into a different shape. I can't remember if I told you about the select function. For example, if I want to merge these two into one, I press select, I highlight both of them, and these little three dots show up. If I press the trigger on these three dots, I can choose to merge these shapes, which now makes these shapes one shape. If I want to split them, I edit the object, and then I do the exact same process again, but as you can see, the three little dots will not show up. There's a reason for that. Because the game itself thinks that I have purposely done this. In my case, I have purposely done this, but say you done it on accident, which a lot of people do. The game thinks this is one prop. Now, in order to fix this so you can only duplicate the two that you actually want, you need to make another prop that can stay as that one prop. Because if I split these, technically a prop no longer exists, or an object. So now, if I highlight these, it gives me the three dots option to split the shapes, because this now takes over the original object for these. It may be a bit hard to explain or understand, but that's just the best I can do at the minute. So now, for example, say this was part of your map. Okay, so you're building a map, and then you publish that map and there was people coming in. A lot of the time, people just accidentally come across things that are unfrozen. You can tell they're unfrozen by having open hands. As you can see, my maker pen is down there. And I can just come up to this object. Now, as you can see, it gives me this green outline around everything. There you go. Having this green outline means that this prop is not frozen, meaning anyone can grab it. Now, if you wanted to be the only one that can grab it, you can configure this and choose it's grabbable. meaning now, even though it's unfrozen, no one except someone using the maker pen can touch this prop. But by doing that, you're just kind of stopping yourself from editing things if you don't have a maker pen at the time. What you can do instead though is use the freeze tool. The freeze tool freezes it in place, meaning even if the person does have a maker pen, it doesn't allow them to actually move anything. It doesn't allow them to recolor anything because it says the object is frozen. Now, even though an object may be frozen, you can still save it as an invention, but we will get to that. Now, if I just unfreeze this, I can then use the delete tool. The delete tool, such an easy tool. If I just want to get rid of this, I press the delete tool and it's gone. If I accidentally done it on the other hand, you can undo that delete using this middle button on the bottom of your maker pen. This is an undo feature which allows you to undo anything you just done for an amount back. So if I just keep pressing this, there you go. I'm now all the way back to when I made both of those shapes at the very start. I can move forward. Now they're one shape. Now I've moving them into position to merge. Now I have merged them as one shape. Moving them. Now I've made the third shape so I can make these separate now. Now these are separate to that. Now I've gotten rid of that. Now I'm showing the tool. Now that's gone. So undo allows you to go back in time a little bit. Redo allows you to come back to where you're at right now. Moving on to manipulate. So, say for example, you made something really small and you made something really big. Say I need this small one to be big, I need this big one to be small. You edit the shape, then you use manipulate. Now, when pressing manipulate on one of these objects, it gives me these little points. The top, left, right, bottom, front and back. If I want to make this shape smaller in length, I choose this, and then I just use my maker pen, move it back and forward, and I can choose which size I want this. So as you can see. Now if I want to make this shorter, I choose the bottom or the top one, and I can just shrink it. Like so. Let's say I want to move this so it's small, like this little cube, I choose the left and right. And now I can make it another little cube. Now, say I need to make this. This is as small as an object can get in the game. This tiny little cube compared to this one. Okay? Now again, you edit the object. This might be a little bit hard considering how small the shape is. There we go. Now I choose to manipulate that object. And there we go. Now we have all the exact same little points as we did for this one. Now we can just do the exact same. And there we go. Now we've completely swapped the size of both of those shapes. That is manipulate. Now, the make inventions. This is how you save any creations that you have made. So if we go into my inventions tab, I can show you some of the stuff that I have made. If I go back over to the start. Okay. Here we go. This is something that I have created. This is my set of knight armor. This is a costume. As you can see, it's got some nice horns, some nice armor plating using the neon feature. Shoulder pad, a pair of skeletal wings. It's just a nice little set of armor that I can wear whenever I have maker pen permissions to spawn it in. So, now, if we go back over here, go into shapes. For example, say I have this shape here, and say I spent hours working on this little cube box, and I want to show this off to all my friends. I can choose that I want to save this from this world to spawn into every world. I choose make inventions, or invention. I then select what I want to make, and as you see, object selected 1. That's because you can select up to 100 objects, I believe, or more. 100 is the max I've ever selected, so it's possible to get more. But if I wanted to also select them, I could, not this, them. But for now, I'm just going to select this. I then choose next, and it will tell me I can name the object. So if I bring this over here, choose name, this little keypad will open up. Cube box. As you can see, cube box, I then choose next. I can now choose a description. A little cube box. Now it will ask me to take a picture of my invention so I know what invention it is I'm choosing. There we go. Now I just grab my maker pen again, and we wait a couple minutes or seconds. There we go. This now signifies to me that it has saved correctly. As you can see, the name, cube box, the description we gave it, a little cube box. There's the picture we took of the box itself. Now, this down here explains to you how much of this is used. This is how much space you're taking up in a room. This little green bar up the top. As you can see at the minute, I'm taking up 60.23% of the room. That's to do with that bridge, all the gadgets I have, this big platform, and the spawn zone are way over there. Now, this little box itself, if we go into inventions, there's my little box. I choose this little information icon. This little box itself only uses up 0.3%, meaning this is tiny. This barely takes up any space in the entire room. Now, down here are the tags. This is when you're searching for the invention store. If someone types in cube, they'll find this. But as you can see, there's no cube tag, so we need to add one. So we choose this little icon here, and now we can add a new tag. These ones are default, you cannot change these. These are on every single invention. This tells people whether it's a small invention, a medium invention, or a large invention. Whether it takes up low ink space, medium ink space, or large ink space. Now down here, there is a couple of default ones you can choose from if you don't want to add a custom one. You've got art, character, decor, environment, or weapons. But ours is none of them. Ours is just a little box. So we want to press this, and it comes up a hashtag. If you do not have a hashtag for some reason, you can press shift, and up here where the number 3 key is, you can choose hashtag. But since there's already one there, we don't need that. But now we can just type in cube and then press save. Now, as you can see, our little custom tag has been added in. Small cube low ink box. This one. Now, here's a couple things you can do with this new update. If you go into setup, you can choose whether someone, for example on your world or through the invention store, is allowed to only use this object. Meaning, other players cannot edit shapes, recolor, or merge / split objects from this invention, the cube. They also cannot create new inventions that contain any objects from my invention, this cube. Now that basically just means, in short terms, if I choose to publish this on the store, the only thing people can do with it is spawn it in their room and save that room with this in it. This cannot, and I mean cannot, under any circumstances, become their invention. If this is spawned into someone's room, because it is made by me, if I go into my room settings, I can choose down this little bottom area to see the inventors of that room. Now, I've made stuff for this room from my own inventions list, that's why I'm up here. Then you've got Marissa, or I can't really pronounce that name correctly, don't judge me. She's one of the developers, I believe, of the game. She made some of the tree designs I was using back at the spawn. And then you've got this guy. It won't let me choose his profile for some reason, but I've used an invention that he's published on the store. So, if anyone chooses they want this cube in their room, they can then spawn it in their room using the maker pen. And if I go into their room and choose this room up here and then show inventors, it will show me being an inventor for something in that room. That's all it means. No, not that. Actually, yes, that. Now, the other settings we can do is edit and save. This one allows people to edit the object, meaning they can manipulate it in any way, they can recolor it, move it, rescale, everything. And they can save that object as a new, like, updated shape. They could save that as their own, and they can use that as their own because I have allowed them to use it as their own. Although they're not allowed to publish it. They will be allowed to edit it and save it all they want because they've now added pieces to it or used that piece in some way, but they are not allowed to publish it because it contains something from my inventions. Although you can choose that, you can choose publish. Publish allows them to edit the cube in any way and publish it as their own invention. That's all that means. Okay. So, pretty sure that was everything. Okay. I'll just quickly run over this just in case people don't know what this is. The shapes and colors is how you create things. You've got tubes, ribbons, cubes, spheres, cylinders, wedges, and pyramids. I showed you that at the start of the video. You've now got the colors tab. The colors tab has been updated. Now, in the past, it was only these colors here, but they have updated the game. Now you've got a couple different pages of different shades and different colors you can use to your heart's content. You also have this little button up here. This is the neon button. This just allows you to create neon things. If I choose create and choose cube, as you can see, that's all that is. Just a bunch of different colors. Now, gadgets. Gadgets is to do with the rotators, the pistons, the variable chips. There's a bunch of different pages on these. I'm not going to go through all of them. Boolean chips, compensate, blah blah blah. That right there is a variable chip. And the math chips. Now remember, if you hover over any of these, it will give you a little description of what they do. Now, you've got the game chips in here, different pages of that. The other chips, more pages of that. Gizmos is where you find the clamps, the look at, the piston, the rotator. Look at I'll go over in another video because that involves a little bit of stuff. Now, in other gadgets, this is where you can find some quite cool things. If I go back into gadgets. Okay, now that we're in the other gadgets tab, you have the ambience radio. If we quickly go back over here. There you go. As you can hear, you've got sounds of water, and every so often you hear like a bird chirp. That is what the ambience radio is doing. If I fly over here, right there, that is the ambience radio. That tiny little thing behind this purple barrier. Right here. This guy. So, that's the ambience radio. The emitter, so this little guy. You can choose this guy, and he will emit particle effects. So at the minute, he is set to confetti. You can choose this and configure this by going into the configure tool and then selecting the object. Looping just means that it will continuously do that effect. Use maker pen custom colors means if I chose that I wanted this to be a red confetti only, I can then recolor this object to shoot only red confetti. Now, for example, I can choose boost. It'll give this nice little fire effect. I can use explosion, and just this big explosion bubble. Fireflies, these little guys will just every so often appear like fireflies. Fireworks, it'll show this big explosion of fireworks, as you can see. Distance fog, it's fog. The hit indicator number 2. Leaves falling from a tree. A flash. Or the wind. As such. Now, for example, if I wanted to have this as a different color, as you can see I chose to have this red beforehand. Now that I've recolored the object, it's now blowing out the red colored wind, because that's the color I chose. But if I want some blue wind, I then choose the recolor tool, choose the color, and then press on the object. Now it is blue wind. This works for every single effect there is. For example, the leaves, blue leaves, fireworks, blue fireworks, fog, blue fog, boost, kinda starts off blue, turns into a turquoise, goes into a green. There you go, that's the emitter object. Now the emitter does have these little bracket things you can see coming off the sides. That's for wiring. I'll go over that in another video if it's requested. Now, the object respawner, I'm not really 100% sure what that is, so I'll skip over it for now. Now the point light, these are new. The point light is a light effect. I'm using this over by the spawn again. As you can see, it will light up an area. And I can choose, by configuring the item, how bright I want it to be. As you can see, how far right I want this light radius to go. And if I want it to respawn or not, but we're going to leave that because there's no point in doing that. And if it's grabbable or not, and if I can hide it during a game. Now again, this has got wire points like everything else does. The red on and off, the green the colour, the range, and the intensity. But you don't need any of them because you can just do that using the configure tool, unless you're going for maybe like a kind of nightclub thing you want to wire up using wire and chips so it changes colours and all that kind of stuff. Now respawn points, I already have some of these set up, so I'll just use them as examples. These are respawn points. If you choose to configure these, you can choose the team they're going to respawn, the spawn precision to that spawn point or the area around that spawn point. Used at the end of games, not really entirely sure what that means. Respawn primary hand item, meaning this. Respawn secondary hand item, anything that's in my second hand. Respawn grabbable, all that kind of stuff. Now, I keep closing down the menu. Sampler. These are mainly used if you are on PC because you can record specific sounds in music. Now, I'm not going to play any music just in case any copyright stuff, but these can record specific sounds or music or anything like that if I choose to record. Recording in 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, you can see this little red bar going up. This means that it's recording. 1. Now, you can see this little red bar going up. This means that it's recording. There you go. That's all that does. Back into gadgets. Now, spotlight. Now, this isn't like the point light. This is only a cone of light. So if I choose to rotate this, there you go. You can now see the little circle of light it's producing. Again, you can color these. Red doesn't really show up in the grass. Green, blah blah blah. Yellow, blue, all that stuff. Again, you can configure these so the range goes all the way up, meaning this little cone of effect is probably now shining through this big thing I have here if I go underneath? Surprisingly not. Okay, I stand corrected. You okay? Anything? No. Alright then. I can choose the intensity, meaning how bright it's going to be. And I can choose how big I want this circle to be by choosing the angle. I can choose that I want it really big, I want it really small, but I'm going to do really big. Again, grabbable, hide during games. Now I can just delete that. Okay, gadgets. Trigger volume. That's a trigger volume. That's a trigger volume. With these, you can choose if you want it small, choose if you want it big, if you want to have it long, all different shapes and sizes. Now, what these basically allow you to do is, the way I have mine set up currently, if I choose to jump inside of this big square, this will then teleport me to one of these pads I have way back at the spawn. But these can be used in many different ways. These little arrows here on the side, the red, means when entering the zone, meaning when something goes in this big purple zone. Green, when currently in zone, meaning if you go inside of this. And when exiting zone, meaning if you go outside of this, then it will activate whatever it's linked to. Now I have one under here because I've experienced a little bit of a glitch when I will end up falling through the bridge, so that's just there to respawn me back up here. But if I choose to configure one of these, I can choose if I want it to keep track of players, meaning if I go inside of that it will teleport me, or objects, meaning if a prop, a weapon, etc. goes inside of that, that will then be teleported. Now, if I had a specific role that I only wanted this to see, or I didn't want this to see, I can put it in there, but at the minute I don't, so I'm going to leave that. Respawns, those don't matter. Grabbable, you know what that does, and hide during games, you know what that does. Now, next page, the welcome mat. I can go back over to spawn to show you this one. There we go. Now, although you can't see it, right underneath this green pad here is a welcome mat. The welcome mat basically sets the world spawn point, meaning every person who joins my world will spawn in a radius around this welcome mat. So if I go under here, right here is the welcome mat. As you can kinda see, the welcome mat. Back over here. Now, that's it for gadgets. Props. All these. This is self-explanatory. If I wanted a gun that I can use, reload the gun, look through the sights of the gun. Again. That's all that is. The props is just the weapons for the game, all the different items that are used in game modes, such as flags, paddle balls, darts, bowling pins, bowling balls. The decor is little props scattered around maps, such as books, spells, backstops, barrels, little cardboard cutouts and stuff, campfires, boxes, all that. For kitchen, you know, anything you would have laying around your kitchen, maybe some coffee, glass bottles, mugs, alcohol, milkshakes. Toys, we've got stuff like confetti guns. You know, stuff you can use. Glow sticks, they don't actually glow. They're just like a prop. As you can see, there's no glowing effect anywhere. I'll even go down to the ground just so you can see. There's no glowing or light effect coming off it, I should say. Because it's glowing, it's neon. Then the meeples, these are like little kind of statue things you could use for chests if you felt like it, or maybe Dungeons and Dragons, because that's been done before. The microphone. Hello. Now, using a microphone, pretty sure it means everyone in your world can hear you while speaking through the microphone. Now the reason I'm not trying to configure any props is because configuring props doesn't work because they are props. Radio. Jumbotron sounds. Again, it's a radio. An RC car set. If I just drop this, gives me a big RC car. I can choose the controller. There you go. Now I press in the trigger, it will drive. Off it goes, into the sunset, never to be seen again. Okay. And speakers. Pretty sure the speakers are used for the microphone just to amplify the sound. Now creative. If I just pull this board over here. Now this is where you can choose all the stuff from drawing utilities to the charades, pen, sticky notes, posters, all that kind of stuff. Clipboards, pens, just different colored pens, paintbrushes. These are really self-explanatory. They allow you to draw things on clipboards, sticky notes, sticky posters. Those big boards I've got back there. So yeah, that's all it is. The charades pen is an actual game mode. You can go give it a try. I'm not going to explain that. Furniture. Now these are furniture. Bookshelves, chairs, tables, all that kind of stuff. You know what this is. Dynamic. Now, this is getting into a bit of gadgets, basically. A beacon. Pretty sure that's just a big light source thing, an animation that allows you to see a certain area. A button, you can hook these up to gadgets and all that, so when you press it, it will end up activating whatever it's linked up to using those arrows on the side. Costume dummies. This is a costume, for example, my armor that you've seen me spawning before. I built it off of one of these. Because that's the only way you can actually wear an outfit on top of your current outfit. Dice set, for example, all these different dices that are normally used for stuff like Dungeons and Dragons and other such fantasy board games. They're all just falling around. And yes, they actually work like real dice. You roll them and it gives you a number. An actual dice, the disc golf goal. There's a game mode all about disc golf. You can go play that if you want to understand how those work. The holo projector. This just allows me to actually record my person, as you can see. This will then record my voice at the same time, my current character's animations, as you can see. And then once I choose done, this will then record my voice at the same time, my current character's animations, as you can see. And then once I choose done, this will then record my... Simple. Now, the object goal, not entirely sure what that does. Not entirely sure, not entirely sure, not entirely sure. The room doors, these allow you to link different doors to worlds. Now, I can show you something. Back here. Behind this door is another door that leads you to my entrance. So if I went up to this and pressed in the trigger while like my hand was through this door, that would then ask me if I want to go to my entrance. As you can see here, this is the big door, the little window, the actual door itself. Just like this is behind that. Now, the scoreboard projector. This just means if you have a game up, this allows you to keep track of scores and the people. A sign. You can configure these signs to input messages. Ta-da! It just allows you to input a message that you can show. And a stage light. Now, stage lights do require a variable chip, because they have these in the back, like so. Now, as you can see at the minute, nothing is happening. This isn't on, there's no light being projected from it, that's just light from the sky. Now, back here we have on and off, the colour and the intensity, red, green, blue. So on is going to be attached to red, the colour is going to be attached to green, and the intensity is going to be attached to blue. So now, let's give this a try. If I configure this. Red is now on, you can see that by the little effect it gives off. Now, the intensity, I'm going to turn this up so we can actually see. Now, this doesn't actually give off a light source, this just gives off this kind of cool cone of light. It's an effect, it doesn't actually give any proper light. Now I can choose to give this different colours, as you can see, green, blue, pink, red, all that. There you go, that's all that is. People normally use it for like stage light effects, and it's just by doing it. So I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, message me any comments and stuff that you might have, and any like suggestions or questions you have. Feel free to add me on this. Here's my profile. This is me. You can add people by going into here and pressing find, searching their PlayStation ID or their actual name in game, and it will come up with them. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.